Hey guys, it's Girl Got Game. Welcome back to Hakuoki Edo Blossoms, and this time we are going to romance ourselves this bean, Hajime Saito, who died tragically last time, so let's keep him alive, shall we? Let's start off with our sum-up, our summary. It's about to begin. Proceed, yes. Tell me all about what happened with this sweet bean last time. I'm really excited for his route. He's so pure. Pure, strong, sweet, and Chizuru can read him like a book, much to his surprise and dismay. I remember that picture. That was the last picture we got with him at the end of the first game, where he let us come, instead of telling us to get lost. Alright. So what happened? Winter 1864. In order to find my father, with whom I'd lost contact, I, Chizuru Yukimura, visited Kyoto. In that city, I bore witness to a horrifying secret hidden within a group called the Shinsengumi. The Fury, a creature with white hair and crimson eyes. Luckily, I was saved from the vicious clutches of the Furies by Saito, the Shinsengumi. Soji and Toshi may have been there at the time, but I was not aware of their presence because I only had eyes for Saito. Because I had discovered the Shinsengumi secrets, it was proposed that I live with the Shinsengumi men since they were also searching for my father. As such, I was to serve under Hijikata as the commander's page, a role I performed proudly. So, thus begun my life with the Shinsengumi. I'd heard rumors, well, whispers really, that the Shinsengumi were little more than a bunch of crooked ronin, but my life with them proved otherwise. Their commitment to protect the safety of Kyoto made them the last of a dying breed. True samurai. It set them apart from those who only craved power. Among the men was Saito. He was a left-handed master of EI who led the 3rd Division of the Shinsengumi as its captain. My fate beside Saito became entwined through the events of the Ikeda Inn incident, the Hamiguri Rebellion, and the Aberona Koji incident. I remember one such time where 3 men claiming to be demons, Chikage Kazuma, Kyuju Amagiri, and Kyo Shiranui, confronted the Shinsengumi. One of my big things that I'm excited about is just to have Amagiri and Saito exchange more interactions, because I love their interactions together so much. They would be best tea buddies. However, time has been unkind to us since then. At the time, the fate of the shogunate was threatened by the Satsuma Choshu, which later culminated in an inevitable battle for control of the nation. Oh yeah, I forgot how bloodied he was, poor boy. In an effort to defend my life, Saito confronted a demon one-on-one in battle, and he drank the water of life which transformed him into a fury. Unfortunately, the battle ended in favor of the Satsuma Choshu, and the Shinsengumi were driven from Kyoto. They set sail for Edo in hope of a new start. Alright. You didn't talk about your last night together, though. Where you heard him in the hallway and stuff? Didn't they do it like a kind of samurai vow thing with their katanas, or am I misremembering? Might have to watch that last scene again. I was hoping they would reference it here. They just showed the picture, though. They didn't actually talk about what happened. Oh well, let's get into it. Sai caramba! Sai caramba! Nice. We sailed from Osaka, clinging onto our desperate hopes, and with good fortune reached Edo safely. The biggest city in western Japan, the Shogun's military base is in Osaka Castle. We used the humble home of one of the Hatamoto as our headquarters for the time being. One thing that became privy to our attention is how talk of the Satsuma Choshu troops flooded the city. Although I had tried my best to forget them, the events of the Battle of Toba-Fushimi still left a bitter taste in my mouth. To strengthen the Fury Corps, whose numbers were threatened, Sanon and Heisuke had been running tirelessly around the city in search of candidates. Their method of recruitment, however, was a question I had decided was best left unanswered. Beyond all of this chaos, I felt extremely frustrated by how little I could do to help the warriors. Okay. So business as usual, then. For poor Chizuru. So we're staying in the home of a Hatamoto. Not the inn, when we were with Toshi. Unless that was just initially, and then we moved to the inn. It was a wintry day, edging on the cusp of spring. Oh my. I like this music. Yeah! Work those drums! That's good. I like that. Among the brisk winds blowing through my window, I heard the townspeople shouting, "Isn't it great? Isn't it great?" repeatedly. A colloquial phrase used in a spate of festivals that spread across Japan near the end of the Tokugawa era. Over a month had passed since our first arrival in Edo. Could very well be our final. Hey, everybody's back in their old clothes and hairdos again.
What is the matter, Miss Yukimura? Is something on your mind?
Oh, it's nothing.
I wonder when the next time we'll battle the Satsuma Choshu's gonna be.
Well, Commander Hijikata is trying to reach out to the higher-ups in the shogunate to get approval for a retaliation strike, right?
I heard about that, but...
As the two of them exchanged points, an outside voice interrupted their conversation.
Man, what a bunch of loudmouths. Isn't it great? Isn't it great? Would have been greater if they thought of a more creative chant. Well, I guess I get where they're coming from. Sometimes it's more fun to dance and forget. I mean, any minute now the Satsuma and Choshu could come and burn everything to the ground. You wanna go dancing then, Sano? Why don't you draw a cute little face on your stomach? I'm sure the girls will love it down there. You bastard. Sounds like you really want to buy your own drinks then, asshole. Here I was thinking you'd like me to pay for your tab, silly me.
Dang. He got really upset about that. How dare you bring out my belly drawings.
Aw, come on, Sano. You knew I was just kidding, right? Look, it's 'cause I'm a boy from Edo. Sometimes stuff slips out. I didn't mean nothing by it.
Oh, were the two of you planning on going somewhere?
Yeah. I'm starting to think that sticking around here for too long is gonna be a real bummer for all of us. Yeah, we thought it'd be a good idea if we went out for a drink. Hey, Soma, Nomura, you guys are coming, right? No, I don't think so.
Same. I couldn't drink at a time like this either.
That's exactly why we're drinking, you idiots! What the hell's the point of sulking in your room? It's not like that will fix anything either. You may as well drink. So quit bitching and come along! Wanna join, Chizuru?
No, thank you. I believe I am going to refrain. There are other things to which I must attend.
I see. Guess it can't be helped.
Thanks for asking though, Sano. I appreciate that.
But hey, if you see Hijikata, go ahead and tell him I'm at something random like a funeral or something like that.
Funeral out drinking. Which, yeah, that doesn't quite add up, does it?
Alright, take care of the place while we're out.
Bye. Nakakura and Harada were practically dragging Soma and Nomura out the door with them. It became a somewhat common occurrence for both Nagakura and Harada to go out for drinks lately. Sure, they were cheery on the outside, but I was afraid to think that their apathy was a result of the defeat in Toba Fushimi. Although it was a huge relief to hear that Kondo's shoulder was recovering well, and that he was due to return back to active duty soon, both Kondo and Hijikata's top priority was negotiating with the chief vassals of the shogunate. As a result, the person tasked with ensuring that all duties were seen to completion at headquarters was... the man of the hour.
Yukimura, I cannot seem to locate either the inkstone or the ink. Do you happen to know where they could be?
I think it might be in Hijikata's office, but... I imagine it'd anger him quite a bit to hear that we had used it without his permission. Give me a moment, please. If I recall, there's another set as well. Let me find it.
Very well. If you could please see to it immediately.
Aw, we're helping him. That's nice. Inkstone and ink. Will these do?
Thank you.
Saito extended his hands to grab the inkstone, and he began to glide it across a short table to make ink. Beside him sat a thick pile of documents, which I had assumed were what Saito had in store for himself. Saito? Is there anything that I might do to help you?
Nothing in particular, no.
But are you supposed to do all of this work by yourself? That'd be impossible.
Quite the contrary. Not impossible. Focus is merely an imperative.
Well, I've finished most of what I've needed to do today, so please, anything. Saito was silent, turning to stare at me with a blank expression. After what looked like a moment of deep consideration,
Then, would you kindly assist me in enclosing these documents? The strings and all to bind these papers are over there.
I can do that. A tool where you pierce a small hole through stacked paper. Okay. I began to enclose the parchment as he instructed. Quiet sounds of ink pressed to parchment, and the following ruffle of said parchment filled the room. Come to think of it, it had been nearly a month since Saito had drunk the water of life. He's out and about during the day as well. Normally, it would have been excruciatingly painful for him to be awake, let alone accomplish tasks while there was still sunlight. But looking at Saito operate with such swift efficiency, I would have never guessed otherwise. Yeah, his swift efficiency made me temporarily forget that he actually was a Fury now. Without being too invasive, I stared at him deeply. How do you manage that? It was at the point where I had begun to question whether or not his Fury transformation was all a part of some elaborate dream I had. However, I knew this to be untrue. Because I saw it with my own eyes. Did you all yourself? Girl, stop drooling over this beautiful being. He can get the bloodlust any time, you know. Ouch!
What happened?
Oh, I cut my finger with the awl. Don't worry, it'll heal quickly.
Your fingers have been cut. Here, allow me to see.
Wow, you gave us a picture right away? Dang. Well, someone's not as stingy as Toshi. Saito grabbed my hand eagerly? You good? Bloodlust. Then it was as if he were caught in a daze, and he stared intently at my fingers as blood began to trickle. Don't you dare stick it in your mouth, I'll slap you. His face was pale as snow, but his eyes had a peculiar sparkle within them, as if he were hungry. I couldn't help but find this odd for some reason. Watching his eyes gleam with such forced constraint worried me, and I called out to him. Saito?
Ah!
At last, Saito seemed to snap out of his trance, glancing away awkwardly.
I advise you to treat it immediately. Otherwise, it may contract an infection.
If someone had been watching the two of us from afar, this would have been difficult to notice, but... Thick droplets of sweat began to form on Saito's forehead. It was obvious to see this was atypical. I assume it was because... So, Saito, do you want blood? Ugh. His shoulders perked almost immediately. I knew it. Even though you've become a Fury, you've been forcing yourself to stay awake during the day, which I'm sure is only draining your energy. However, Saito neither confirmed nor denied my claims, instead sitting stoically in silence, as he does. Perhaps my comment was out of line, but it was impossible to ignore the signs. Why are you pushing yourself so much? You could be like Sanan and Heisuke, and you could rest during the day and act during the night. That way you could minimize your fatigue. Saito glared at me with white-hot intensity for entertaining such an idea.
But if I rest during the day, then whom do you expect shall keep you safe?
Huh? The meaning of Saito's words had not registered immediately after he'd said them.
Suppose Cosmo were to snatch you away while the sun was out and I were sleeping. There would be no excuse. The others are absent, so it is my duty to watch over you. That is all. Do you find this to be an issue?
No, it's not, but... Are you telling me that the only reason you stay awake during the day is to protect me?
I have the commander's orders.
But then...
My reasons are my own, and so is my mission. It shall concern you no longer.
Saito spoke curtly before falling into another prolonged silence as he toiled away with the inkstone. This boy... sacrificing himself to keep me safe. I had no response prepared, so I could only watch him work quietly from behind him. Wish I could give you a snug. With that, I was left with no choice but to return to my work. Don't worry, Boo. I got you later. You'll get my blood, don't worry. It's only a matter of time. Later on that evening, I patiently waited for Heisuke to wake so that we could discuss the day's events. The sun dropped into the horizon, melting into the dusk like fresh amber dripping from the tree.
Morning. Well, not morning.
Oh, Heisuke! There's something I wanted to ask you. Do you have a moment to spare?
Me? That's a little strange of you. What's up?
Someone may overhear us, so do you mind if we step outside? What are we going to talk to you about? Maybe we think he'll be upfront with us about the whole bloodlust thing?
So, what did you want to know?
As a Fury, how much of a strain does it put on your body to stay awake during the day?
Oh. You're talking about Hajime, aren't you?
Dang, this boy saw right through our our plot. He's like, you don't care about me, you're asking about your boy. Aw, thanks, Heisuke, though. I nodded and Heisuke stroked his chin. It seems like Saito has been working just as hard as he was before he became a Fury, but he looks like he's suffering tremendous pain. And, well... Originally, I planned on telling Heisuke about my interaction with Saito, but I was unsure of how best to phrase it. It was almost as if I said it aloud. I was dehumanizing Saito, reducing him to a monster in spite of who he truly was.
Wait. Did Hajime say he wanted blood or something?
My reaction alone seemed to give Heisuke all the information he needed to deduce the situation.
I knew it. You know, I was just thinking to myself how weird it was that he hadn't gotten a seizure yet. I mean, judging by how active he is during the day and all.
So what do you suggest I do? Should I tell him to drink blood? Heisuke paused before answering, staring at a nearby lantern flickering in the darkness. Maybe it was difficult for him to decide as well. However, Heisuke was the only person I trusted to advise me on how best to approach Saito.
Sanan thinks the best way to curb those episodes is by drinking blood. Lots of it. But I doubt Hajime will see it that way too.
What could I really do? If Saito were to suffer one of those episodes, was there anything I could do? Maybe, and this was a big maybe, I could save Saito. By letting him drink my blood?
Also...
What is it? What's wrong? Is there anything else bothering you?
Nothing. Just remembered something Sanan mentioned about you the other day. He said if he could research a demon's blood, then he could tweak the water of life.
My... blood?
I mean, I was against the idea, of course. I wouldn't want to involve you in any of those experiments, especially if success isn't a sure thing.
What Heisuke said had troubled me because I had a suspicion that I was being watched as of late. Oh, Sanon, stop being a creeper. Ugh, this is what happens when you're a mad scientist. Had that person been Sanon? Heisuke noticed me contemplate the implication of such a thing, and seemingly in response, he pulled something from his pocket to hand to me.
Hey, Chizuru. Here. This is for you.
What is this?
Dr. Matsumoto found some documents that Koto left behind in Mibu, and he made this.
A settlement west of Kyoto. It was comprised of homes, farmhouses, and a single temple. So Matsumoto made the medicine this time around.
I guess if a Fury drinks it, it's supposed to help with the seizures.
Really? But how in the world did Dr. Matsumoto... I had been under the impression that Dr. Matsumoto was firmly against researching the Furies.
Well, at first he didn't seem too hot on the idea, but he said, as a doctor, he couldn't just abandon people to suffer needlessly.
I see. I grabbed the medicine handed to me by Heisuke, and I placed it snugly into the pocket of my kimono. So, I'll tell him to drink this medicine when he starts exhibiting symptoms, right?
Yep. But just so you know, the worse the seizures get, the less likely that stuff will work. At the end of the day, it's just a temporary fix. Keep that in mind.
Okay, understood. I'll keep this as a last resort.
Well, I got some stuff to do. So see ya!
Heisuke waved happily before turning around to walk back into the building. After a few steps, he seemed to have remembered something, and he turned to face me again.
Hey, keep an eye on Hajime for me.
Huh?
Sanon and I can handle a lot of crap, but for Hajime, all he cares about is the Shinsengumi. It wouldn't surprise me if that guy just worked and worked until he collapses, before he even considers he might be pushing himself too hard.
Right. Once more, Heisuke bowed his head and walked away. He was right. Saito had quite the penchant for working himself to the bone. Saito. He was different than the other warriors. His tendency to prioritize both the Shinsengumi and, by proxy, Hijikata's orders was unwavering. Of course, no one considered it to be a fault per se, but it was becoming increasingly difficult to ignore that his dedication was taking a toll on him. Saito sacrificed his humanity for the sole purpose of protecting me, so if there was anything I could do to alleviate his pain, even just a little, I would do it. Heisuke had just mentioned that father left some documents behind in Mibu. Perhaps if I were to visit my childhood home, I could uncover even more information about the Furies. That settles it. I would visit my home tomorrow,